going to tell you a story today. I'm going to take you back a few years, well, quite a few years really, to a city, big city, powerful city, busy city, called Susa. And it's ruled over by a king. So there he is, there's the king, King Xerxes. And he's a very powerful king. So he has a queen, as you'd expect, Queen Vashti. And they rub along together quite well. But he's a bit full of himself, is this king. And he announces that for 180 days, can you believe it, there's going to be wining and dining. Because he wants to show everyone how powerful he is, how rich he is. So for 180 days, there's a lot of wining and dining going on. Not content with that, another week, and he asks all his bestest friends to come for another 7 days. So King Xerxes is over here with his mates, Queen Vashti is over here, entertaining the ladies. They don't want to be with the men because they get a bit rowdy. So the king, about halfway through the week, says to his mates, "Have you seen my queen?" And they go, "Yeah, not recently, but yeah, we've seen her." "Yeah, but have you seen her? She's beautiful. Tell you what, I'll go and fetch her." "Well, I won't go and fetch her. I'll get a servant to go and fetch her. And she can come and you can see how beautiful she is." So the little runner goes to Queen Vashti and he says, "King wants you to come." Oh. She says, "No. No? You're saying no to the king?" He goes back and tells the king, "She's not coming." Oh, well, talk about putting the captain on the pigeons. The thing is, these mates of his are a bit worried, as well as the king. The king has lost face. The king has lost face. He's very cross with his queen, and what can I do? What can I do? And the men around him say, "You've got to do something. You can't have this going on, because if the queen says no to the king, then all our wives will say no to us, and they don't want that, do they?" Right, so what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So what he does is he sends for his councillors and everybody, and they all decide that because she said no to the king, she's no more queen. Very well, the men are very happy about that. So there we have our king. So a couple of years go by and he looks a bit lonely, doesn't he? And he thinks, I've got this throne, nobody's sitting on it, nobody to have his cocoa with in the evening. So he's a bit unhappy. So he thinks he might like another queen. So this proclamation goes out to all the young virgins on the towns and villages to come to the palace, and the king will choose a new queen. So you can imagine they came in their droves. Anyway, they whittle it down. And this beautiful woman appears. Well, a young girl really. Beautiful she is. The king sees her. She's the one. Now, they're not going to get married immediately. Oh no, that's not the way they do it. Now, listen to this, ladies. For a whole year, Esther is going to be pampered. Now, you and I, we go and have our hair done, we have our nails done maybe, whatever, a couple of hours. This is going to take a year. The first part of the year will be about massages and creams, and the second part is all about cosmetics. Well, by the time they finished, is she but beautiful. The king is like, made a good choice. And so she becomes Queen Esther. Now, Queen Esther has an uncle. Well, he's not really her uncle. He's brought her up, looked after her, but he's always in the background. And he doesn't come into the palace, no, he just sort of wanders around, keeps his eye on her and makes sure she's okay. Lovely. So while he's wandering around, he hears a couple of blokes plotting to kill the king. So he goes back, he tells Esther, Esther tells the king, and that's the end of them. Right. Now the king is pretty pleased with himself, because not only does he have the most beautiful, stunning person as his queen, but, you know, she's got her ear to the ground as well. Mordecai doesn't even come into it. Okay. Well, now then, enter stage left. Boo, boo, hiss, hiss. We don't like this man. We do not like this man. This is Haman. Nasty piece of work he is. Nasty man. But he's got himself sort of, you know, wheedled to be close to the king. And he's quite powerful in his own right. He's got a lot of money, but very proud of himself. So he's a bit worried, because there's a group of people and they're growing in numbers, and he's worried that they'll overtake the king, overtake the country, and he'll be left with nothing. So he goes to the king and he tells a story of how these people are going to kill the king and have his country, and terrible stories he tells. Well, the king believes him, and he goes, well, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? So he sends for his counsellors, and they come and they have a little nitter-natter. And in the end, Haman says, well, I think what you should do is, tell you what, on a certain day in the future, all the Jews, because that's who they were, will be annihilated. What a horrible thing to do. What a horrible thing to say. So, but the king agrees. So, send for parchment and quill. Well, actually, it's a scribe, because he's king. He's not going to write his own letter. So, parchment, the scribe comes, and it's all written, done, sealed, done. Okay. Now, unbeknown to the king, Esther's a Jew. Well, Mordecai hears about this, and he goes to Esther, and he tells her, and he goes, you know, just because you're queen, that doesn't mean that you'll be exempt. Well, what do you want me to do about it, she says. What can I do, you know? So Mordecai says, well, you know, you might have been put here just for this purpose. So Esther says, well, okay, tell you what. You get a few friends together and pray and fast for 3 days, and I'll do the same, and then I'll go to the king. Right, so we would have gone charging in, but actually not so Esther. No. So Mordecai goes away to fast and pray, and so does Esther. Haman, meanwhile, is cock-a-hoot, because, you know, he's got it made. He reckons that, you know, the Jews are going to be annihilated, and that will put him even up closer to the king. Well, the day arrives, and Esther, you know what it's like, ladies. Oh, what am I going to wear? What am I going to wear? And she'd been to John Lewis the day before, and she'd got this most beautiful dress. I tell you, it was gorgeous. So she puts this on and her makeup and everything, and she has to go and stand just in the courtyard of the king. Can't go charging in until he gives her the nod. So he gives her the nod and she goes in. Well, he is like over the moon. You are so beautiful, so stunning, so clever. What do you want? Go on, I'll give you half my kingdom. I'll give you my gold, my silver. Come on, what do you want? What do you want? So she flutters her eyelashes a bit, and she says, well, why don't you come and have dinner with me tonight? Yeah, okay, he says. And she says, why don't you bring Haman as well? Oh, well, Haman is over the moon. He goes back to his wife. Who's having dinner with the king and queen? Just me and them? Me. Yes, he thinks he's made it. So they have their dinner, and the king says, come on, Esther, what do you want? What do you want? Where's your petition? What's your request? Come on. Tell you what, she says, fluttering her eyelashes again. She said, come come to dinner tomorrow and I'll give you my answer then. Okay. So the next day, there's the three of them again having their dinner. So the king says, come on, Esther, look, we've had our starters, we've had our main course, come on, what is it you want? Anything you want, I will give you. I want my life, she says. That took him back a bit. What do you mean you want your life? And Esther tells him about this awful edict that has gone out about the Jews. Well, he can't believe it, although he signed it, but loss of memory. He's getting old. So he said, who on earth thought of this awful, awful thing? This is a dreadful thing to happen. Who was it? So Esther said, well, it was Haman. Well, I can't tell you how cross the king is with Haman. And this is the horrible bit. He is impaled, gone. And then Esther introduces Mordecai. And Mordecai is given all of Haman's riches and stuff, because the king had no idea that this was the man that he should be happy with, because this is the man that heard about the plot to kill him. And so the edict though still stands. Ooh. So the king goes, parchment, scribe, pen, quill, paper, whatever, and the edict is reversed. And so you can imagine all the Jews very, very happy. So one would think that they all live happily ever after. They probably do. I can hear you say, yeah, I can hear it. You're saying, this is a book in the Bible. Yep. But God's not mentioned in it. That's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong. God's presence is on every page of Esther. Who do you think put her there? How do you think that Mordecai's part wasn't guided by God? God is on absolutely every page. So, homework you've got now. Now, I'd like you to get into your comfy chair and a throw, get nice and cosy, and read Esther. It's only, 10 chapters. You can read that very quickly. But there's a lot in there that I've not even said. So once you're all nice, cozy with Esther, with a cup of coffee. Oh, did somebody mention coffee? I'm going to put the kettle on.